Welcome back, everybody. Aloha. So this is the Humanist Report. Mike Figueredo of the Humanist Report, covering Bernie Sanders suggests political revolution is the only way to stop a Trump dictatorship. So if I do recall correctly, this political revolution is how the Trump dictatorship got started. He started a political revolution in the Democratic Party in 2016 when Trump was running. Hillary Clinton, and then cheated him, kicked him out basically, kicked out our revolution, and gave the presidency to Trump. He had another revolution. I couldn't believe it picked back up in 2020, but it did. He kept it with the Democratic Party, and again, well, this time it was Barack Obama stepped in for the Democratic Party, killed the revolution, got everybody behind Biden, and so squashed the people's movement in the Democratic Party for a second presidential election or presidential term, however you want to call it, in a row. Now we got Trump back after Joe Biden's wonderful presidency, weekend at Bernie's. Aw. So now we got Bernie Sanders, another political revolution. This would be his third time's a charm. Is we going to do this in the Democratic Party, or are we going to do it in a party that will foster people's revolution? The Green Party, DSA, PSL, let's combine these left-wing parties and make a left-wing coalition that'll foster this movement. Or are we going to do it in the Democratic Party? You're going to blue no matter who? What are we doing?
Country is moving very rapidly under Trump. This country is moving very rapidly under Trump into an authoritarian form of society. You know, the founding fathers, way back in the 1770s, these were nobody's fools. And what they had fought the King of England, an autocrat, had all the power. And they said, you know what? We don't want that in the new country. We're going to set up 3 separate equal branches of government. And every kid in the 6th grade knows who they are. But Trump does not. And
people give our founding fathers far too much credit. They set up these branches of government so that they could play around with people's lives. Only rich white men could vote and had say back then, so they could be all in the government doing their thing, just controlling everybody else. As other people get in the government, now they start to complain and whatnot. Trump is trying to go back. He would love to go back to what our founding fathers had. They were all their own little dictators on their plantations, running things exactly the way each one wanted. They didn't mess with each other because I could whip my slaves like I want over here, and I could do what I want over here to women, and I could do what I want over here to whoever I want. So yes, Trump wants to be like our founding fathers, and so do the Republican, their base. So I don't think it's a good look or I don't think it's a good strategy to bring them up like they're the view of the left, or they're the view of the progressive, or they're the view of the right, or the correct, that is, that's going to change Trump or change the people following Trump's mind, right? They're going to be like, yes, I want that. I want what they had.
Trump is doing now is trying every day to usurp the powers of Congress, to challenge the powers of the court. It is a very dangerous moment. The struggle against Trump, the struggle against oligarchy, which is led by Elon Musk, the struggle against authoritarianism, the fight to make sure that the working class of this country gets a fair shake, that is not going to be won here in Capitol Hill. It's going to be won by millions of people all over this country standing up and saying, you know what? We fought and died for democracy. We're not going to move toward authoritarianism. We fought to...
So we saw what happened, again, beating this dead horse. We saw what happened when millions of people stood up, and they stood up in the Democratic Party, squashed. If we're going to do this, Bernie, if you're going to get millions of people to stand up and do something, put them in a place that will keep them going, that will foster them, that will help them and accept them and ask them, hey, come on in. Hey, we need some leaders too. Some of y'all want to run. Some of y'all want to lead. The Democratic Party is not it.
Create a country that works for all, not just the billionaire class. That's the struggle, and I'm going to be active in trying to rally the American people to do just that.
Man.
You just listened to a snippet from Bernie Sanders' interview with Caitlin Collins on CNN, and I'm surprised that his comment right there isn't getting more attention, because not only is it alarming that another sitting U.S. senator is warning America that we are slipping into a dictatorship, But Bernie right there is specifically invoking the American Revolution in order to communicate to the American people that we're not going to be able to vote our way out of this situation. And I don't think that people.
Ooh, I really think we can. If we fill the Green Party and fill the Green Party with candidates up and down the ballot and vote Green, we will. If you vote Democrat, no, we're not going to vote our way out, right? Even if the Democrats win, we're still going to be in the same situation, the lesser evil, then the Republicans come back later. You want to go left? You want to be progressive? We got to go Green, DSA, build this left-wing coalition.
People truly grasp the implications of that. For all of our lives, we've been conditioned to think that political change begins and ends with presidential elections, but we are past that point now, and Bernie Sanders is gently trying to explain to Americans that those days are dead and gone. Trump has repeatedly talked about seeking a third term, and judges like Allison Ide, who replaced Gorsuch on the 10th Circuit, are laying the groundwork to reinterpret the 22nd Amendment to let him run for a third term. I mean, the official White House Twitter tweeted out an image of Trump wearing a crown with the caption, "Long live the king." He just signed an unconstitutional executive order stripping away autonomy from executive agencies. And rather than reading you that entire wall of text, I just want to let the Trump administration give you the most concise explanation.
Lastly, we have another executive order that President Trump signed relating to independent agencies. This executive order would establish important oversight functions in the Office of Management and Budget and its subsidiary office, OIRA, supervising independent agencies and many of their actions, and also reestablishes the longstanding norm that only the President or the Attorney General can speak for the United States when stating an opinion as to what the law is.
That is not a long-standing norm, by the way. If only the president and the attorney general have the last say on what the law is, that's called a dictatorship. And we are very clearly headed in that direction, and Trump is doing nothing to assuage our fears that that is indeed the case, because it's what he wants. And Bernie Sanders is warning you, if you want your country back, you're going to have to take to the streets and take it back. And he is desperate.
Reminder, we did that 2016, 2020, and the Democratic Party didn't work out.
Really trying to get people to realize that this is where we're at. And he's not just saying that on TV, he is literally doing a tour across the country to explain to Americans that the only thing that can save the country at this point is a political revolution. Common Dreams reports Senator Sanders launched a national tour to fight the oligarchy, where he is hosting town halls with residents in districts that flipped from Biden to Trump in 2024. And the message is clear.
So Green Party people, go to these town halls, fill these town halls, ask Bernie Sanders to join the Green Party to help be a leader. He should be doing this in coordination with the Green Party and DSA, doing all these town halls, doing this tour, fighting the oligarchy. He should be doing it with the people who want to actually fight the oligarchy, not with the people who are the oligarchy. Now, I don't know if he's doing it with the Democratic Party right now. I hope he's not, and I hope he's not going to take this movement into the Democratic Party if he builds another movement, which I hope he can, but I hope if he does, we need to go green with that.
Donald Trump is coming after you too. So he's going across the country trying to explain this to people. The policies that Trump is implementing right now, it's going to destroy their livelihoods too, even though they voted for him.
Like the Democratic crime bill, like Obamacare fining poor people that couldn't afford health care. So the Democratic, when they do laws, when they make policies, they affect you too, and almost always in a bad way.
So he's trying to get them to mobilize to stop that and to take action before it's too late. And in a recent interview with Brian Tyler Cohen, Bernie Sanders also tried to make that case directly to Trump supporters, that now is the time to act because it's going to affect them too.
What I would say to Trump supporters are two things. Focus not on what Trump says, but what he does. And what he's going to do is cut programs that you...
Holy moly. Democrats focus on what they do, not what they say. They say all this stuff. They promise all this stuff. We just talked about it in the last video or the video before. They're going to promise everything and do nothing. AOC, when Joe Biden got in, they could have forced a vote for health care, but because Joe Biden was the president, they didn't want to do nothing. They didn't want to push. But now that Donald Trump is president, now they want to act all like boisterous and push for this or that because they know they can't get nothing. That's the game. So yes, Democrats do the exact same thing. Listen, don't listen. Watch what they do. See what they do. Now, give Give somebody new an opportunity. The Green Party, we talk a good game. Now give us an opportunity, see if we do what we say we're going to do. And in fact, I'm asking you to join the Green Party and be part of it. Run for city board or council or whatever they call it in your area. Run for governor, mayor. Run for state senate, state representative. Run for national senate, U.S. Senate, U.S. Representative in your area. We need people. And we want regular people. We don't want rich people just coming in and joining the party and controlling regular people. Rich people already control us. We want some control back.
And your families need. Do you really think it's appropriate to cut Medicaid substantially? Those are families, your families, may not.
Do you think it's appropriate that we don't have universal health care? I know Bernie Sanders doesn't think it's appropriate, but still, he backs the Democratic Party way too much, and they could have gave us universal health care in 2008 easily.
Be able to get the health care that they need. Your mother may not be able to get into the nursing home that she has to get into because Medicaid pays a substantial part of that. We're going to do away with aid to students who want to go to college. Your kids are going to have to go more deeply into debt when we cut back on higher educational programs. So the other thing that I would say is that if you are an honest conservative, you believe in the Constitution of the United States. You do not believe that the richest guy in the history, in modern history, can go around unilaterally cutting programs that were authorized by Congress. So if you're a Trump supporter and you're a working class person, understand that they're going after you. And if you believe in the Constitution and democracy, they're also trying to undermine that.
Now, whether or not he'll actually get through to most Trump supporters is debatable because we are dealing with a political cult.
And that through the Democratic Party, you will get through to almost no Trump supporters, right? They're not going to buy that. But if you go Green Party, if you go DSA, they're gonna have a little bit more of an ear, like, what is that? Let me hear you. And then if you make a good case, you have more of a chance to pull them over. Libertarian Party, you might have a better chance of getting them over there. But still, I think the Libertarian Party needs to try to make a push. I'm not really going to do a whole lot for that because I don't agree with them mostly. But I'm going to help this left-wing push. We need to make a push. The people, no matter who you are, you should not believe in the Democrats or the Republicans. And they both prove it to you every time they're in office.
But that's why he's targeting specific districts where voters flipped from blue to red, because those aren't necessarily the diehard Trump cultists that we're talking about here. Those are people who simply don't know why things are so bad, but they get a sense that things are pretty fucking bad. And, because they know that things are bad but don't know how to fix it, they go back and forth between Democrats and...
So this is a perfect tour. If you're going around to districts that flipped from blue to red, they were unhappy with the Democrats. We're hoping they'll be unhappy with the Republicans. And so now a new party is pretty much necessary. Democrats have no leadership. They're weak. They don't know what to do. No direction. Gone over this. All these shows, everyone is telling you the same thing. Even CNN is saying it. I haven't seen anything about MSNBC lately, but even CNN is like they have no direction and they're weak right now. Now is the time. Now is really the time to build a third party. We need to do this.
Republicans every single election cycle in hopes that one of the parties will finally do something to improve their lives, but it never happens. So they're in this endless cycle where, okay, well, the Democrat didn't do anything, I'll opt for the Republican. They're bad too, I guess we'll try the Democrats again. Now, this attempt by Bernie Sanders...
So they call that insanity, right? They call that insanity. Don't do that. Let's do something different. Let's build our party. Come to the Green Party, say what you want. Say if you want to run, or if you want your brother to run, or your sister, your mom, or your daughter, anyone. You know this cool dude who's really smart and political, but he would never think to run on his own, but you want to help him out. Whatever, something. But we need to do it. And everybody asking, where's the Green Party between the other 4 elections, or the other 3 years? They only come around every 4 years. We're a people-powered movement. We need you to get in the Green Party. You are the Green Party. If you're sitting there in the Democratic Party thinking that they care about you, if you're not a corporation or you're not rich, the Democrats and Republicans are not for you. If you're wondering where the Green Party is, because they're nowhere around and you're a regular working person, what you need to do the next time you say, where's the Green Party during all 3 years, you need to go ask in the mirror.
In going across the country is to raise class consciousness and get working
Class
people
consciousness,
to
working
understand
people.
that their enemies aren't each other. It is the oligarchy,
The Democrats
right?
and the Republicans.
And this attempt to raise class consciousness and working class people is the very first step to mobilizing a political revolution, which is what he wants to do. Because
revolution
Bernie
that we need
Sanders
to
believes that
sustain.
if you can get regular working class people to see that the root causes to all of our problems cannot be solved with a top-down approach through our corrupt oligarch political system, then maybe if people understand that, they'll finally opt to bypass that system altogether to actually accomplish systemic change from the bottom up. And to be clear, when Bernie Sanders talks about a political revolution, he's not talking about regime change or violence. He's talking about change enacted from the bottom up through different types of movements, right? A national movement that utilizes protests, civil disobedience, boycotts, work stoppages, and a national strike to shut down the...
Also, like community organizing, community building, doing after school programs. Like I always say, building food forests, doing permaculture around schools and in food insecure neighborhoods. We can start the process at a lower pace, right? And if we do it and we do the things that need to be done, as we get voted in, now we can have the government start doing that. We can start hiring these people as government people or whatever, and really do the thing. We need to just build what needs to be built, parks, schools, all that stuff, so kids can play and learn. And then like home, I don't know if we need a lot of homes. We just need to fill the homes with the homeless people, but build more homes if we need it. Anything, the stuff that we need more solar. We need to do things to get off of fossil fuels, because even if you don't believe in climate change, it doesn't matter. Fossil fuels can't get us into outer space. There's no gas station out there. We have to have the ability to power ourselves beyond Earth if you're scientific and want to do that. But still, if you want to stay on Earth and we don't ever leave Earth, wouldn't it be nice to have a car that you didn't have to go to the gas station, like either baby nuclear batteries or solar powered cars? I always thought it would be kind of cool if you could put like a wind turbine on a car where, like, when you drive, it has like what do you call it, like little windmills, little, just like I thought, like in between the mirror and the car, right, you could just have like a little windmill there and it would just spin as you drive, right, and generate energy. I would think that would work. I don't know, but all kinds of different ideas, and you would ask people and get people working together. But yes, like, not just all we got to do is fight and just resist. We need to do proactive things also.
Economy until the change that they want is enacted. So the American people, what they can do is put so much pressure on elected officials that not even the harshest dictator
he's
can
saying
withstand.
fight,
He's not
protest.
talking about regime change or violence. He's talking about change enacted from the bottom up through different types of movements, right? A national movement that utilizes protests, civil disobedience, boycotts, work stoppages, and a national strike to shut down the economy until the change that they want is enacted. So the American...
See, I say we should start making the change ourselves. So that's a little bit of the difference. I mean, you can protest, you can fight, but we should also be proactive and push. I don't know, build.
People, what they can do is put so much pressure on elected officials that not even the harshest dictator can withstand it.
We can also become elected officials. Join the Green Party. Get in that election. Let's fill out all 50 states, all the ballots, plus D.C. Yeah, 50 states, and I don't know what Puerto Rico and Guam do. So we got territories. If you're in the Green Party over there, or if you're a progressive over there, I guess you guys would probably know what your laws are and what you guys do. So do whatever you can in Puerto Rico and Guam and the other territories also. Oops, over here.
This has happened across the world, like we saw in the Arab Spring, where Tunisians ousted their brutal dictator Ben Ali.
And speaking of across the world, the Green Party is across the world. We have strength all around the world. And speaking of world politics, I've been meaning to share this article. So, how Green Party success is reshaping geopolitics. Once a fringe movement, Green parties are increasingly shaping the debate in countries around the world. How influential are they, and what comes next? So, introduction here, and I'll leave a link to this article. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to read some of it, and then we'll get back to the video. Introduction. Green parties, once seen as radical outsiders, have increasingly claimed a place in mainstream politics, especially in Europe. Greens around the world have evolved from single-issue environmentalists into broad-based political parties capable of winning elections and serving at the highest levels of government. What is a Green Party? Green political parties reflect a broader social movement seeking to reorient civilization in what supporters say are more sustainable and humane directions. The environmental concerns began with opposition to nuclear power, but have expanded to include climate change, pollution, and industrial agriculture. So that's why I talk about permaculture so much. According to Global Greens Network, there are close to 80 full-fledged green parties. So 80 full-fledged green parties throughout the world. They also usually encompass broader but interrelated social and economic issues. Most green parties have committed themselves to 4 pillars: ecological sustainability, grassroots democracy. That's why we need you. We're not a corporate funded party like the Democrats and the Republicans. We need you. We are grassroots Green Party. Social justice and nonviolence. We are against war. We are against police violence. We are against all violence. Green platforms generally include opposition to war, weapons industries, especially nuclear weapons, skepticism about global trade agreements, and consumerist industrial society. See, I think we should be a more open globe. I think we should be, I don't know if it's tighter knit, but like just more open, more free, more, more cooperative than competitive. But I can understand if in the consumerist industrial society they're skeptical about global trade preference. Okay, why are they important? With Greens poised to play the role of kingmaker in some of the world's most influential countries, their choices could increasingly shape public policy and the future of democracy. Let's see what. So how did they develop? And so it goes over the timeline here about some Green Party stuff. You guys can check that out. I'll, again, leave the link. So here's the deal. What role have they played in government? Greens have moved from protest parties to loose movements to influential power brokers within only a few decades. Still, although in some countries they have become a fixture in the legislature, in others they remain on the sidelines. So check the map here. We got Canada, got a decent Green Party presence. Mexico, I think that might be Brazil. And then I'm not sure these countries, and I'm pretty sure that's Chile, the long one. So we got most of Europe, Scandinavia, Australia, and New Zealand. I'm not sure if that's just part of Europe. I'm not sure what that is up there. But so we have a huge presence around the world. Where are we not strong? Right in this spot right here that includes this. We could turn this whole thing green. And there's a little spot over here that I live at that's not on this map. But look, one of the strongest nations, if not the strongest nation in the world, we could turn it green. We could put it on this map like this. Then you got Europe already with a lot of green. The United States going green would strengthen the World Green Party. Like, you could understand, right? We would have to have a movement like the Bernie Sanders that we're talking about right now. We would have to have a movement. Our party would be hugely strong if we voted some people in. You guys run. And then now we're like a world power. All these countries over here, you got Russia, China, Africa, and even some of South America. They got the Belt and Road going on right here, right? All these countries have the Belt and Road, and then all these countries would be green. Now all we got to do is talk to them. All we got to do is start our own somewhat kind of Belt and Road or Building the World initiative and just cooperate. Or even if you want to kind of compete, kind of friendly compete, and you guys like we went to the moon, but do it in a friendly thing. Like let's see who has the best technology, who can do it the best, build the best this, and say we have a 5-year or 10-year competition. And then after that, then we share each other's plans and we see what you did, you see what I did, and then we can add the technologies together. But there's ways to do things that we don't have to just compete to beat each other. what is it? What are the major debates within the global Green parties? So you guys can read that. Let's see. What are the criticisms? Green parties have long caricature. Oh, so Green Party political foes have long caricatured. Caricature. I can't even say it. Caricature. Why can't I say it? Caricature them as parties of starry-eyed youth and wealthy urbanites. So our Green parties are pretty old in the United States, and so we need a lot of youth to come in. And I guess if around the world they're more young, they're ready to go already. So we need to catch up, United States. And Europe Greens are working to shed that image. Southern Eastern Europe, what's next for green politics? Hopefully what's next for green politics is you guys join and we join the world and we get down. But I'm going to leave a link to this article. We're going to go back to the video. Well, Bernie, bring this movement to the Green Party and you can change the world. I didn't. Terrible song. I didn't have no beat to it. Sorry.
Like, it's not like dictators are immune to pressure. All of them are. It's just a matter of the people mobilizing and understanding that they do have all the power. They control the economy, and they can shut that motherfucker down if they choose to do that. Now, this whole political revolution was basically the crux of the message from Bernie Sanders' presidential campaigns. He made it clear that all of the things that he wanted to accomplish, like Medicare for all, for example, you can't do that through usual political procedures. There's just too much corruption to get members of Congress to do these types of things. I mean,
if we put Green Party members into Congress, we could do it through political means. But that would be the revolution. We would be revoluting. Is that the word? We would be revolutionizing, joining the Green Party, running in the Green Party, voting for the Green Party, and put the peaceful revolution ablaze or abound or whatever into action and just start voting. We'd be Congress now. We could do it.
Medicare for all, for example, I brought that one up. You know, these politicians.
I didn't imagine Barack Obama ran in the Green Party, but he wouldn't have won, I don't think, because he didn't have a name like that. But if he could have started that movement, if he could have created that movement in the Green Party back in 2008, and say he won or lost, and then ran again in 2012 and still won or lost in the Green Party, how big would we be by now? Because Bernie Sanders would have probably went to the Green Party. But say Barack Obama did win in the Green Party in 2008, then Bernie Sanders would have been the next probably person to go over there from independent to green, and then we'd just be a huge party by now. We have to start. The best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago. The next best time is today. We have to start now. It would have been better if we did it in the past, but in 10 years from now, if we didn't do it today, we're going to be in the same spot thinking like, we need to plant the trees that we may not stand in the shade of.
They're in the pockets of health insurance giants who would happily bankroll them in a primary election against the pro-Medicare for all challenger. So they weren't afraid to lose their seats. They had the backing of the industry that helped them get elected, and that industry is going to help them keep those seats. So Bernie Sanders' approach was to bring his political movement to D.C., right? Get the people who elected him to target members of Congress who were refusing to implement the will of the American people.
Bring it to D.C. and the Green Party.
You target them aggressively with massive protests inside and outside of their offices. But in order to make that a reality, you first have to foster class solidarity among the people who are going to take to the streets, because if you don't do that, then they're going to fight each other and not the oligarchs. And during a 2016 debate against Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders explained why a political revolution was so necessary.
We have today a campaign finance system which is corrupt, which is undermining American democracy, which allows Wall Street and billionaires to pour huge sums of money into the political process to elect the candidates of their choice. And aligned with a corrupt campaign finance system is a rigged economy. And that's an economy where ordinary Americans are working longer hours for lower wages. They're worried to death about the future of their kids. And yet they are seeing almost all new income and all new wealth going to the top 1%. And then in addition to that, the American people are looking around and they see a broken criminal justice system. They see more people in jail in the United States of America than any other country on earth. 2.2 million. We're spending $80 billion a year locking up fellow Americans. They see kids getting arrested for marijuana, getting a prison getting a criminal record while they see executives on Wall Street who pay billions of dollars in settlements and get no prosecution at all, no criminal records for them. I think what our campaign is indicating is that the American people are tired of establishment politics, tired of establishment economics. They want a political revolution in which millions of Americans stand up, come together, not let the Trumps of the world divide us, and say, you know what, in this great country, we need a government that represents all of us, not just a handful of wealthy campaign contributors.
And that message right.
And remember what just happened when all of us, all the people were calling thousands of calls to the Democratic Party telling them they want to stand up, they want to see a backbone. They complained. They do not want to hear from you. When they tell you who they are, listen. The Democratic Party does not want to hear from you. They don't. They don't. We do. Call the Green Party. Call us up. Bother us. Bother us every day. Come in. Come to our office. Come. But, ooh, almost. But come participate. Join. Run. If you're real political, run. If you're watching my channel, I got 89, I think, subscribers. You're probably very political. All 89 people watching my channel should join the Green Party right now and should probably run in the Green Party. Do your local board first, whatever it is. Do your school board, all that stuff. And then let's move up. Let's go through the ranks. You got 2 years to figure out what you can run for in your area to be it Senate, local Senate, state Senate, governors, all that stuff. Let's do this. And there's stuff we can do in the meantime, boards and things like that you can get on that can get you prepared a little bit in the politics and whatnot.
Right there was potent because embedded in it was this admission that the establishment politics that we've come to expect just aren't going to suffice. The country is too far gone. Things have gotten too bad. The country is just too corrupt. And if we've learned anything over the last decade, is that Democrats very clearly aren't up to the challenge of fighting fascism. So we shouldn't wait around and expect one Democrat to come along.
But again, Democrats are also fascist.
And save us. That's not realistic at all. And I don't think that Bernie's goal is to get people to abandon electoralism. What he's trying to do is get them to understand that extraordinary times calls for extraordinary measures, and you can't just rely on electoralism to accomplish the change that you want. And that's more true today than it was.
For extraordinary times, the Democrats are not extraordinary. The Green Party would be extraordinary if we won. So let's do some extraordinary things. And two, if all they're going to do is fight, and say they're going to block, okay, that's a little bit. But do stuff. Get out in the community, see what they want, see what they need, and just start doing it. Just start doing what's needed and build the community, whether you win or lose elections. And let's just get what we need done, because we need to do it. It needs to be people doing things, because these corporations, Elon Musk ain't doing nothing for you. He don't care about you.
Was when he said it back in 2016, because as unresponsive as our government was back then, it's even less responsive today, to the point where Congress, they don't even have control. There's virtually no oversight over the executive branch. And worse, they seemingly don't even have oversight over an unelected billionaire pseudo-agency. And Bernie Sanders explained this in his interview with Caitlin Collins.
Elon Musk is clearly running the show, the wealthiest person in the world, who has enormous conflicts of interests, who is helping to fund right-wing extremist organizations all over the world, who is looking forward to get massive tax breaks from Congress.
See, like he just said, right-wing, whatever, organizations all over the world, right? I showed you the map of the Green Party all over the world. We, the left, needs to fight back on a world scale. The right fights on a huge world scale. Imperialism, Western imperialism is right-wing takeover, right? It's what do you call it? Dictatorship. It's one person ruling their own little thing, however much it is. But if the left wants to do something, one, America, like we got a little bit on the world stage, but we need the U.S. to get on board, man. Like we would be the catalyst to the world changing.
he's running the show.
So if he's running the show, but not on paper, as they essentially argue, but you say in practice, he basically is, you're a co-equal branch of government as a senator on Capitol Hill.
I kind of thought so, but I think you have to explain that to the president.
Do you feel that you have oversight when it comes to what Elon Musk is doing?
In case you missed it, he said, of course not, which is alarming. This is why he's trying to emphatically explain to people that Americans have to take a bottom-up approach to politics in order to enact change, because there's just no going back to the way that things were. There's not even a going back to 2016. I mean, after seeing how much power Elon Musk has.
Why are we trying to go back to the way things were? You're MAGA now? Make America great again? What do you mean?
Other billionaires are going to be throwing even more money at both parties to be able to do what he's doing now. Pandora's box has been opened, and it's never how much power Elon Musk has. Other billionaires are going to be throwing even more money at both parties to be able to do what he's doing now. Pandora's box has been opened, and it's never going to be closed. The only way going forward to enact fundamental change is through a political revolution, because you can't expect.
But where are you going to focus this political revolution, Mike?
The system as corrupt as ours to be the very vehicle that will enact the meaningful change that we need at this point. But the question is, how do you actually get people to become class conscious? Because people are selfish by nature, and
that's bullshit. People are not selfish by nature. Capitalism rewards greed. So greedy people are successful in this system. But people are not selfish by nature. Bernie Sanders showed a big movement. People were talking about people, and then Bernie Sanders up there, they're yelling, Bernie, Bernie. He goes, no, it's not me, it's us. And everybody just went crazy, right? Like, the left doesn't think, like, we're not selfish. Most people aren't selfish. But in a system where you see greed and where you see selfishness rewarded, you got to kind of be selfish in this system to be okay. If you're too giving, you're just going to be giving away, and the selfish people will just take from you. But people are not by nature selfish. That is bullshit.
They don't care about anything but themselves, and Americans apparently don't even give a shit about democracy, as evidenced by the fact that they voted to elect Donald Trump when he was very clearly a threat to democracy. So,
oh my gosh. They democratically elected Donald Trump. But yes, people are upset with our democracy because it doesn't work. We just have Democrats and Republicans, no real choice. We call it choosing the lesser evil. How in the world is that a democracy that anybody could be invested in and want and like and be like, oh, I'm excited to vote and I love politics? The lesser evil is what we have. What in the world is that? Can we please try? He talked about the 10 years from Bernie Sanders starting and whatever. And the Democratic Party, it did not do anything. It got us Donald Trump and more Donald Trump because the Democrats do not want progressive or left-wing politics. And they would rather have an authoritarian like Donald Trump, a dictator like Donald Trump, all these bad words you want to call Donald Trump. The Democrats have told you. When they tell you who they are, listen. The Democrats have told you they don't want us. They don't want your voice. They don't want my voice. They don't want it. Let's take this next 10 years, put all that effort, that movement, that drive into the Green Party, DSA, PSL, all these left-wing parties, call them all up. Coalition build. Let's start volunteering, doing things. And build this movement in a place that will sustain it rather than a place that will squash it, and prefer a Donald Trump.
So, these warnings aren't going to resonate with them. If I say that Trump wants to be a dictator, they don't give a shit. So what do? You have to make it personal. And that's what Bernie Sanders is trying to do. You tie Trump's authoritarianism to their wallets. You explain why Trump is consolidating all of this power and letting Elon Musk hollow out government agencies. He's doing this because he wants to do himself what Congress has always been too afraid to do. Privatize Social Security, cut Medicaid, do things that are incredibly unpopular. That's just one of the many examples. Now, Bernie Sanders explained this game that
Bernie Sanders ran on universal health care. The Democrats did not want that. Barack Obama ran on universal health care. He got in and did not pass it because he's a real Democrat. So the Democrats let Barack Obama win because they knew who he was. They knew he wasn't really going to do the stuff that he said. They knew he was a slick talker, right? They knew Bernie Sanders was about his business. He was going to do what he said, and they weren't going to have that. So they got him out. So let's get him in the right place. Everyone, my 89 people. If you watch this, hopefully this might blow up. Give me I've got over 1,000 views. Let's get this one over 1,000 views. Like, share, subscribe. And anyone who watches this video, call the Green Party. Join up. Let's see what happens. Like I say, call the Green Party and the Democratic Party. Say you want to become part of the leadership and see what they say and listen to them when they tell you who they are.
Republicans play that is ultimately going to result in the death of Social Security. Now, that's one of many examples. He also talks about Medicaid as well. But with regard to Social Security, he's trying to explain to Trump supporters
Social Security,
who also
Medicaid,
rely
all
on
that
Social
stuff. Green
Security
Party
that
is
if they
going to be
don't
better
act
for the
now,
people.
that their Social Security.
I'm not afraid to tax Elon Musk. Like they capped the tax for Social Security at 100-something thousand. I'm not sure what it is. It might be 200-something thousand. No cap. All the way up, however much you make, Social Security, you get taxed that much from top to bottom, and you might even get taxed more at the top. I'm all about. If you look at when the United States did the best, grew the most, people could work one job and support their family. You didn't have to have two workers. Look at the tax code at those times. It was between 1930, whatever, when Roosevelt was in, 32, 35, somewhere around there, up until I think it was either Nixon or somebody right before Nixon. No, it was Nixon, and then Reagan did it. So yeah, up until Nixon. So in the 70 something, Nixon passed or redid the tax code, and he took it. It was at 90% from 30 to 70. Whatever year in 30, whatever year in 70, it was at 90%. I think the lowest it got was like 87%. The top tax code. But that's when you take money from the richest people who are taking money out of the economy, which we talked about with Asher Edelman yesterday. They're taking money out of the economy and holding it. Velocity of money. We want to pull that money from them, give it to regular people, and they're just going to spend it. But what will you spend it at? If we taxed Elon Musk all his money and gave it to people and say you had an extra $100,000 in your bank account because we taxed it from Elon Musk, what would you do? Would you go buy a Tesla? Probably. Especially if we said, hey, these rich people, they're paying our bills, or they're paying for whatever, because they're so smart, but we get to tax them, and they get to make their cars, they get to make their whatever product they make, whatever. But now we have enough money to buy it. Velocity of income. Rich people spend almost nothing of what they have, because even $1,000, $10,000 is nothing to Elon Musk. $100,000 is not a percentage of Elon Musk's money, right? So, but poor people, regular people, we spend 100% to 110% of what we have, and that's velocity of money. Give us more money, we're going to put more into the economy. Elon Musk, Bill Gates, all these people having all these huge numbers, they just pull money out of the economy and they stifle it. They stop it.
Is at risk as well.
We're hearing this line from the White House that tens of millions of people are getting Social Security fraudulently. Either they're dead or...
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second.
We've gotten no evidence of it, but I looked into this, and what we do know is that there's a lot of people that still remain in the database, but as far as people who are actually getting payments, it was 44,000 who got payments according to an audit that was done in 2023.
Out of how many millions?
44,000 is a very small number.
Tens of millions. So when they say tens of millions, that would be
this is what we are dealing with. We're not only dealing with...
But 44,000 people in the United States doing anything wrong is such a small number that, I mean, yes, try to make people do good or whatnot, and don't whatever, just let people do stuff. But we have 320-something million people in the United States. 44,000. I'm not even sure what percent that is, but it's probably like at least 3 zeros, like 0.00001 or whatever. It's such a small percent that we need to focus on things that have a bigger influence on America.
Oligarchy, the incredible power of the very, very rich. We're not only dealing with a move toward authoritarianism, we're dealing with what is new to America. You know, politicians have always lied, nothing new about that.
Okay, I like it.
But the level that we're seeing right now, the big lie, over and over again, and it goes out, there's a big lie, and then it goes out on Musk's Twitter to, several hundred million people, repeated over and over again. And now the word is out there, people on Social Security, 150 years of age, can you believe it? The whole thing is corrupt, it's broken. Well, where does that lead you, Caitlin? What's the next step? If government can't do anything, if Social Security doesn't work, if Medicare doesn't work, if Medicaid doesn't work, we're going to get rid of all of those programs and we're going to give it over to the billionaire class to run it.
That's what you think they're ultimately trying to do.
Yeah, at the end of the day,
get rid of
not only do they,
Social Security.
they want
Run
massive
America
cuts
like a business.
to programs for the working class in this country in order to give tax breaks to the very rich. And then they want to move to the privatization of every important government agency. I'm not saying they're going to go after Social Security tomorrow. They're not. But this is the groundwork. I mean, this is what
Baby
you do.
steps.
You destroy
Like Kyle
the
said.
credibility of programs that are complicated, programs that have tens of millions of people. This is the welfare queen again. Look at this person. They got this, they got that. Kill the whole program.
Why are you not investing in tax liens?
And everything that he's saying there applies to every other issue. I mean, think about it. They say that schools are too woke, and they're teaching your kids CRT and turning them trans and making them gay.
One about being too woke and CRT during the halftime show, the Kendrick Lamar halftime show. If you know anything about that, when he said 40 acres and a mule, people started Googling that. Who doesn't know 40 acres and a mule? There is no CRT. There is no extra black education anywhere. If you don't know what 40 acres and a mule is, like, I was amazed at that. I thought that was just you say 40 acres and a mule as a saying, I thought. Like, when you
So
owe
the
me.
solution, of course, is to push for private schools instead of public schools. The VA is too slow and unresponsive to veterans after.
See all that private instead of public stuff. What we need is better public stuff. We need better people in government like you to get in the Green Party and understand what your kids need and what your neighborhood needs. And we push for that so that the government and the public stuff is better than the private stuff because we have more resources, or we should. But see, they're trying to take the resources from the people. The government is supposed to be the people. It's supposed to be for the people. It's not what you can do for your government. It is what your government can do for you, because that is what your government is supposed to do. These companies don't do for you. They do for their bottom line. They do for their investors, their boardroom, or whatever you call it. And they do for stocks. They do for profit. They don't do for you. The government is supposed to do for you, but our government is taken over by corporations, so they do for corporations. You, personally, as a person, need to get in the government. If not running for something, you need to care. You need to get somebody you know to run. You need to vote the right way, the people way. And I'm telling you, it's either green, or I guess you could go DSA, but we need to get everybody together, or it's libertarian. It's not Republican or Democrat. I can guarantee you that. If you're right wing, look into the Libertarian Party. Go for it. Do your thing. But if libertarians, if we had two parties, and they were the Green Party and the Libertarian Party, stuff would get done. I guarantee it. We have the same pretty much foreign view. We don't want wars. They kind of want to be more isolationist, not trade, but if it was more even and free trade, like everything's equal, they would be down with that. But at home, they're a little bit, they're not a little bit, they're a lot different than us. They're socially conservative, right? And socially progressive, but fiscally conservative, which means nothing gets done because they don't want to pay taxes, right? So you can't do nothing. They want the corporations to do it. So there would be some back and forth there, but still things would get done. And I would think that we'd have more Green Party people in, because I think people are more left once you go issue based than they are right. But the Libertarian Party would be a better checking party to the Green Party than the Democrats and the Republicans are to each other, because they're not checking each other, they're dancing with each other, they're working together.
After we defunded it, let's give the veterans vouchers to get healthcare at private facilities. Our regulatory agencies for airline travel, they've just fallen to DEI, so we've got to outsource governance to SpaceX. Our entire government has devolved into one giant welfare program for large multinational corporations at this point, and the first step to getting people to go along with the privatization scheme is to make them lose faith in the program, and that's currently underway right now with regard to Social Security, which is why
Right,
Bernie
so that's
Sanders
government. Lose faith in government also. You are supposed to be the government. It's a people-powered government. You need to be in a people-powered party, not a corporate-powered party, and partake in the government. It's not convenient, but it's what needs to be done if you want a people-powered government that works for the people.
sounding the alarm, because this is an issue that will bring over Trump supporters. Now, as Newsweek reports, the former Social Security Administrator Martin O'Malley is also raising the alarm about Doge, saying at this rate, they will break it. and they will break it fast, and there will be an interruption to benefits, and that is going to hurt people. Now, in a reasonable country, the people whose Social Security check was delayed would be pissed off at the people in charge because of that delayed payment. But the problem is that the Trump administration will use that as further evidence that privatization is the only way to save Social Security, since our government is too corrupt and too incompetent to handle it themselves. And you would think that, well, since he's in charge, he obviously is culpable for anything that happens to Social Security. But the problem is that a large portion of Americans on Social Security are going to believe that lie because they tune into networks like Fox News that tell them that lie. Because the right-wing ecosystem can easily flip the truth on its head and get them to think that the opposite of what's true is actually happening. And, you know, I played this clip in yesterday's video, but it's worth watching one more time because I think that this Fox News host perfectly summarized how their media misinformation machine works.
Dana, we are waging a 21st century information warfare campaign against the left, and they are using tactics from the 1990s. They are holding tiny press conferences, tiny little rallies. They're screaming into the ether on MSNBC. This is what you call top-down command and control. You get your talking points from a newspaper, and you put it on the broadcast network, and then it disappears. What you're seeing on the right is asymmetrical. It's like grassroots guerrilla warfare. Someone says something on social media, Musk retweets it, Rogan podcasts it, Fox broadcasts it, and by the time it reaches everybody, millions of people have seen it. It's free money.
And that right.
He just kind of described that exactly backwards. He was saying that the people were doing stuff on the left, and it was, but on the right, if one person tweeted it out, be their person or whatever. But then Elon Musk and Joe Rogan and all these top people, that's top down. No matter where the idea comes from, not everybody makes the idea or comes up with the idea that they're gonna go for, right? And most of the time you hear ideas, you're like, oh, I like that, right? And so no matter where it came from, he just described the exact opposite of what he came out with the end word of. Like, that wasn't populist or whatever, that was top down. Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, the big people who have millions, yes, of course they have millions. But if the other side, if it's me and then you share it and then a couple other people share it and there's all these other people share it but nobody really hears it, it's because we don't have the pull and the reach that Elon and them have.
There is what Bernie Sanders was referring to. So people are voting against their own self-interest.
Using tactics from the 19th
video, but it's worth watching one more time because I think that this Fox News host perfectly summarized how their media misinformation machine works.
Dana, we are waging a 21st century information warfare campaign against the left, and they are using tactics from the 1990s. They are holding tiny press conferences, tiny little rallies. They're screaming into the ether on MS.
Screaming into the ether. The ether is those that won't listen to us. Like, say at MSNBC, CNN, at Fox News. Like, we don't scream at Fox News because Fox News won't listen to us. People ask me why don't you dog out the Republican Party? Ain't nobody on the left looking at the Republican Party. You might go from Bernie to Trump, but that's because you know the Green Party is not, we can't win because there's nobody there. But if the people come and the Green Party is viable, everyone who went from Bernie to Trump would have went from Bernie to the Green Party. And if the Green Party was viable, Bernie would have just been in the Green Party. But you know what? Bernie's movement would have made the Green Party viable. You know what? This movement, you can make the Green Party viable. It takes us. It takes people. But it's just nuts. Like, he just described people doing things. And what's he gonna say? I'm gonna try to let him go all the way through.
First century information warfare campaign against the left, and they are using tactics from the 1990s. They are holding tiny press conferences, tiny little rallies. They're screaming into the ether on MSNBC.
Like, are these tiny press conferences like town halls?
Top-down command and control. You get your talking points from a newspaper, and you put it on the broadcast network, and then it disappears.
Makes absolutely no sense.
What you're seeing on the right is asymmetrical. It's like,
and then it disappears because the Democrats and the Republicans, the corporations don't want this bottom up. You hear how they just break words. They make words make no sense. Like, if people are listening to him and think this makes sense and they believe what he's saying, it's hard to communicate with someone like that because it doesn't make sense what he's saying.
Grassroots guerrilla warfare. Someone says something on social media, Musk.
Who is that someone? And it's probably going to be someone that they already know, right? Somebody that Musk likes. What is that? Poop cat or some dirty cat or something? That's the Republican guy.
Retweets it.
Musk retweets
Rogan
it.
podcasts it. Fox broadcasts it. And by the time it reaches everybody, millions of people have seen it. It's free money.
And
that is insane. Like what he just described, it's like describing grass when you're talking about the sky. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Right there is what Bernie Sanders was referring to. So people are voting against their own self-interest, thinking that they're doing what's best for them. So
Democrats.
You have to find a way to get people to wake up. But I mean, it's truly an uphill battle. But you have to plant those seeds, because once people become aware of the game that's being played every single time, it's not new, it is more difficult to unsee it, although regression is a possibility, as we've all learned. But that's why it's more important than ever to do what we can right now to build class solidarity, because it's a lot harder to divide and conquer us if people understand that we are fighting a class war. So Bernie Sanders' solution to all of this is a political revolution to effect.
Yes, it's a lot easier. What he just said.
We get people us if people understand that we are fighting to do what we can right now to build class solidarity, because it's a lot harder to divide and conquer us.
It's a lot harder to divide and conquer us
if people understand that we are fighting a class war.
If people understand that we are fighting a class war, the Democrats are the bourgeoisie. They will fight back. If we have a huge movement, we've seen it. Again, 3 or 4 out of the last 5 elections. Barack Obama 2008, you can call 2012 maybe not. Bernie Sanders 2016, Bernie Sanders 2020. They will kill the movement. We have to be in the right place for the movement to thrive. If we go to the Democratic Party, they will squash it.
So Bernie Sanders' solution to all of this is a political revolution to effectively get people to become privy to the class war that's being waged against them, and to finally stand up and fight back. Now, I think that Bernie Sanders is right. I actually don't see how the typical political process is going to help us. I think that really is the only way to actually improve things, at least when it comes to systemic change. You're not going to get money out of
typical Democrats, Republicans. Let's not do the typical thing anymore.
Politics
if you want change.
Through the system that is awash with money. So, we have to come to terms with that fact, but we also have to reckon with the possibility that it might be too late to save our country. Sure, political revolution in theory is something that has a very good chance of succeeding if enough people actually do take to the streets.
I mean, if we just go Republican, Democrat, yeah, we're fucked. But if you really want a political revolution, come to the Green Party, have your voice magnified. If all the people come, we're going to magnify each other's voice. We all want mostly similar things. Democrats, you've seen it. They're not going to foster a movement. They're going to kill it.
But it might not. The harsh reality is that there just may be no going back to the way that things were after this. And I don't want to seem overly cynical and get you down.
I don't know what he's talking about.
But it's possible that this is a one-way street, and we can't reverse at this point. With that being said, if we are going to salvage what's left of this country, I agree that Bernie Sanders has offered us the only way to do it, which is through political revolution at this point. And I think that if the
only way to do it is through political revolution, it has been proven that we cannot do it through the Democratic Party, because they will kill it. They have shown it time and time again. So you need to go somewhere where the political revolution will be fostered and fed and help to thrive.
Do get bad enough to where people's livelihoods are completely destroyed, and once the bread and circus no longer keeps the masses distracted, I do think that they will be pissed off enough to take to the streets. I mean, if people aren't getting their Social Security checks and the money isn't coming in and they're not able to feed themselves, they will take to the streets. I mean, material deprivation is what catalyzes political revolutions and straight up revolutions in the first place in other countries. I mean, so it's possible. Either way, we're going to find out soon whether or not the American people actually do stand up to take their country back, won't we?
Focus your anger and attention in the right spot, and that's not the Democratic Party. So I'm going to let his outro go out because he has these real funny outros.
The Humanist Report is fake news. Mike only cares about Crazy Bernie and his wacky socialist ideas. Sad, very sad. I'm unsubscribing.
So like, share, subscribe. Tell your people about us. Green Party, Green Party, Green Party. If you're a person, the Green Party is going to be better for you than the Democrats or Republicans. And, just keep coming back. Keep getting your information from across the spectrum.